Hey everyone, welcome back to the Everything Communication Podcast, episode number 20. It's crazy that we're here. I know I say this like every week now, but I just never thought we'd get this far, man. Never thought we'd get this far. And I think that's the real importance of just sometimes stepping out and doing something. Even when you don't feel ready, even when it doesn't seem like there's any clear path of you actually making something happen, it's actually worth it more to just step out and do something, even when you don't understand how things are going to work, and then just figure it out along the way, waiting on the sidelines for something to happen, for something to magically change in the way that you feel, and then for you to get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm ready now. That doesn't really happen. Most of the time, you'll get to that place after you're already qualified. It takes you doing the work for 5 years, 10 years longer than you actually needed to actually be able to just step up and say, you know what, nah, I'm ready to do this. But all of that can be circumvented if you just started and then you do the work on the way as well. And I think that's why you've been seeing over the past couple of weeks, I've been saying this again and again because I didn't think I was quote unquote ready to start this, right? I didn't think I had things in the right place to get this to where it needed to be in my head. But this is the thing, a lot of the times we will build up an idea of what something should look like or what something must be before we're ready to start. And what that really is our brains trying to preserve our energy because it's easier to do nothing than it is to do something that seems hard. That's going to take a lot of energy. That's going to take trial and error. That's going to take you exerting yourself, getting things wrong, wasting time. But the reality is, if you aren't willing to waste time, you can never buy your time back. If you're not willing to put time in doing something wrong, you won't ever figure out how to do it right. And this is where today it's really interesting actually, because I do think there is one exception to that rule, right? But it's quite nice that this is episode 20, and the topic for today that I actually want to speak about is around starting before you're ready, because it links in so well when it comes to public speaking and just getting more intentional about your communication. The reason why public speaking ties in so directly to your ability to communicate well is because a lot of the fear that we'll have when it comes to public speaking, it will almost shine a light or highlight the areas that we're weak in. So if it's we're not comfortable with pausing when we speak, or if it's we actually don't really see ourselves in a good light. It's easy to hide those things when you're just speaking to someone one to one. It's easy to hide those things when you're in a conversation with your friends or with your manager or whatever it might be. But when it actually comes to you being on a stage now, or you're in a high stakes situations in an interview or presentation, you're asked to do a keynote talk. All of a sudden, the reality comes to the forefront. And the thing that you actually thought you were good at turns out to be the thing that you were just scraping by because you never had to be put in a position where that thing was tested. And what tends to happen is when you start to focus on becoming a better public speaker, you develop the skills, you train the muscles, you become more intentional about the way you speak. Normally, as well, in conversations, you give yourself space before you speak. You start to use frameworks that you learn to structure keynotes in your day-to-day conversations, and you become a lot more clear when you're speaking just naturally. And it's really interesting because you cannot be ready for that. You can't be ready to start working on your speaking skills. You can't be unready, should I say? Actually, that's a better way of putting it. You can't really be unready to work on your speaking skills, right? It's like being unready to ride a bike. Someone could say, "Oh, I'm ready," when I'll feel like I'm ready if the bike has stabilizers on it, or I feel like I'm ready if maybe I need to ride a scooter first so I can practice my balance, or I need to watch other people do it first, and then I'll be feel more comfortable, like I'll feel better. But the reality is, if you just hopped on the bike and started, you making those mistakes, you're gonna make those mistakes anyway. After watching the people, after riding the scooter, all that kind of stuff, you're still gonna make mistakes anyway. So you actually just getting started, you're probably cutting out a bunch of time that you would have spent doing all the other stuff because you just learn the mistakes firsthand and then you go and implement it yourself. And if you take that same sort of concept and apply it to speaking, people say they'll feel ready when they get a promotion or they are able to learn more about their subject matter, become more of an expert so they have stuff to talk about. But that's not the muscle that you're training when it comes to speaking. The muscles that you're training are your mind, the way that you see yourself, are your control over your voice, over your non-verbal communication skills. So you can't really be unready for those things. You can't really be in a position where it's like, oh, now is not a good time to start. I need to wait until I'm here. Doesn't really make sense. And what you find is, again, as I've been saying, once you actually step into trying to become better at the way you communicate, becoming a clearer communicator, it spills into every other aspect of your life as well. Because you realize that speaking isn't really about you, it's about who you're speaking to, understanding that person, and the things that you need to help them see your point of view more often than not isn't to have a better sales pitch or be able to craft what you're saying using bigger words and sounding more impressive. No, it's just simply by understanding what they actually care about, understanding what are their needs, understanding what things do they speak about with their other colleagues or their friends or wherever it might be. Because that's what will get you to speak their language. The only time, as I was saying earlier, where I think this rule doesn't apply as much, this whole starting before you're ready thing, is if you have someone that has already done the thing that you're trying to do. If you know someone who is ahead of you and they have made the mistakes that you've made, that you're going to make, they've done the 100 hours, 1,000 hours, whatever it is, and sat through all of the things that you are inevitably going to come across. They are the only people who are qualified to give you any sort of advice. They're the only people who are in a position where you should listen to them. And really, they actually will speed up your journey. They will speed up the time that you spend making those mistakes. And not only just making them, but learning from them, right? And applying them, implementing them. Because if you can learn from someone that's ahead of you, like a mentor, coach, or whatever it might be, then you end up applying the things that they've learned without needing to experience the things that they have. And so you don't make the mistakes that they would have because you already applied the lessons from the mistakes that they learned. But again, that only works if you're someone who listens, you're someone who actually will take in what that type of person is saying and will go and apply it, because that's the biggest thing nowadays, right? Like, there's so much free information on YouTube, on social media, Google, ChatGPT. It's so easy to get access to information nowadays, but the real differentiator between people is who's actually going to apply it, who's actually going to do something with what they're being told. And that's the difference between people who are good and are great. Because to become great, to become exceptional, you need to be doing something that everyone else on your level isn't doing. And the only way that can happen is to learn from people who are above you. and apply what they're telling you. But I say all of this to say there is really no excuse to just not starting. And you'll know what starting means for you, what that actually looks like for you, whether it's starting your business, whether it's you developing your communication skills, becoming a better speaker because you know that you have a message that you want to share. You need to become more visible in your workplace because of all the good that you want to do. And more deeply, there's a transformation that you're yearning for. You don't want to be the same person that you are today. And so if that sounds like you, if that's the case, get started and then figure it out as you go along. I promise it's so much more fun that way than just waiting for something to magically change. Don't waste your time. With that, I will see you guys on the next episode of the Everything Communication Podcast. My name is Nathan. Wow, episode 21. Coming soon.